School is back in session. It's time to grade another movie, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania.
Or if you ask me my opinion, more like Cant-Man and the Wasp.
That's a little bit harsh, but maybe true. Hey everybody, welcome back to Eye to Eye, the place where we talk about anything and everything Disney. My name is Kyle.
And I'm Jessica, and today we are here to grade Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania.
And this is going to be completely spoiler-free for, we're going to try our best to keep it spoiler-free. We usually do a good job.
We will keep it spoiler-free.
Every once in a while we sneak something in there, but we will do a good job of that this time.
I think we'll be spoiler-free. The only thing that will be spoiled is how we felt about the movie.
That's a fair point, because that's what we're going to do. Every time we do our spoiler-free now, we give you guys 5 different categories that we grade the movie on to give you a good idea of what we thought. And usually we're pretty similar. Not today.
I was going to say, spoiler alert, not today.
Today we have differing opinions. We put out a little bit of a short on our channel already so you can get a preview, like out of the theater reaction type of video. So if y'all saw that, you kind of know where we're heading. But if you're here now, welcome, and let's jump right into this. So 5 different categories, and we'll give you a big grade at the end. Our first category is on the topic of visuals and atmosphere. Jessica?
So the score is out of 5.
Yep, out of
5 being the perfect visuals and atmosphere, and obviously 1 being subpar.
Subpar. It's a nice way to put it. It's very, very diplomatic. Yeah. So what is your grade for visuals?
So, well, before we get into that, Kyle's jumping ahead. 5 categories. You have a score of 1 through 5. So a perfect movie would be a 25.
Yes.
The worst movie ever would be a score of 5. You can't actually have a score of 0.
In-game versus A Wrinkle in Time.
There you go. Perfect. I actually like that. So for visuals and atmosphere, I gave the score a solid 3.
Starting off on a strong note. It's actually right down the middle of where we grade these things.
Yeah.
So it's very fair.
Yeah, it was fine. The atmosphere was fine.
So what gave it a lower, what kept it from being a 4 at least on this for you?
Some of the creatures were a little odd to look at and a little different.
So it's more like a personal taste thing for you.
That's what all of this is, silly goose.
Right, but I'm just saying.
And I also felt like we saw a lot of the same scenes over and over and over.
Okay, it was a little it almost went really bold with visuals, creatures, the environment you were in, and didn't really change all that much.
Think Avatar, for instance. Think how
that's a good analogy. Very nice.
Exactly. Think how that...
It's like you've been doing these videos or something.
Right. Your scene changes pretty rapidly.
Right.
And even with The Way of Water, even though you're still in the water scenes, you're changing enough. Here, you see the same background for 60% of the movie.
That's not a bad way of looking at it. I gave it about a 5. I was comfortable, not about.
You gave it
I get a
perfect
5.
Score.
Because I enjoyed looking at all the different things. When we ask the question sometimes, would you go back and see this movie? Not necessarily answering that right here, but this would be where a point or reason why. Because there is so much to look at and so much to see in the background, creatures, Easter eggs, all that kind of thing. That's typical for a Marvel movie though, so unless you're just completely boring, then obviously I usually give you a high score here.
And perhaps you would understand those Marvel Easter eggs way more than I would. So they would just fly right by my head and I wouldn't notice them.
This is a category that lends itself to me. So second category, sound, design, and music.
I gave it a 2.
It had music.
And the reason I gave it a 2 is because I don't remember the music at all. And I attribute this, think of Guardians of the Galaxy. I can tell you the songs. I like the music. I can't remember it.
So to me, if I associate the movie more with the trailer music that I heard than necessarily the music in the movie, that tells me something. That's kind of where I'm at with this. So I gave it a 3 because it didn't bore me. I can vaguely remember some of the tunes and the sound of it all, the way it kind of all came across in the theater, but it didn't really, that part of it didn't stick out to me. So it's just right down the middle at a 3 for me because it just didn't stick out overall.
Yeah, that's fair.
Category 3.
Story and theme.
Mm-hmm. Would you like me to go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Story and theme. For me, I actually walked into this expecting to be a little bit disappointed. I heard a few opinions about that, and I walked away being more pleasantly surprised. So not a 5 by any stretch of the imagination. I'm probably being a little generous with a 4 because like I said, walked in with some preconceived notions and walked away. I was like, I enjoyed that a lot more than I thought I would. The story, the theme of it, I knew the bigger picture with, I think this is not a spoiler, Kang's in this, the Conqueror, and how he's going to be a big part of the MCU. For me, that is what I was there for, but I got a little bit of extra with it too for Ant-Man, his family. That's kind of why I gave it a 4.
And I only gave it a 2 because I felt like the story drug on for a significantly long amount of time, even though it was a short Marvel movie. In terms of time, Marvel movies are normally like 3 hours long. This was only just a little bit longer than 2 hours. But the plot just, to me, it was just really slow. And it kept, I can't talk about it, but it kept rehashing the same things over and over and over. And I was like, move on. We know that.
Well, I noticed we jumped right into the big part of the story very quickly.
And maybe that's why it felt so slow.
We're going to this place very quickly.
Yeah.
And then we're like, oh, I remember thinking, oh, we're going there already.
And then we stayed in that segment of the story for like 70% of the movie.
Yeah, it was a little bit long there, but for me, like I said, the story and theme was more surprising, which is why I was kind of like, it's fine. It gave me more than I thought I was going to get out of it. Category 4, characters and dialogue. Not good for Jessica.
Well, here we are again with a 2. At
least you're not giving it a 1. It's no Wrinkle in Time.
I can't give it a 1 because I have loved Ant-Man and the Wasp in the other movies. Mm-hmm. I really love
very different movie.
Ant-Man's daughter. I really like the parents, but all this together just did not work for me. So it's 2.
I think if you go into this with the Ant-Man 1 and 2 notion, thinking that that's what the characters you're going to get, the story you're going to get, kind of thing. It's maybe not even disappointed. Just it's not. It was a completely different type of Ant-Man story than they had been telling. Those were more grounded on Earth, so to speak. This was obviously subatomic level, still on Earth, but even crazier, wild words.
Quantumania.
Right. I gave it right down the middle. Paul Rudd obviously does a great job as Ant-Man, as he always does. But outside of that, I didn't get really anything extra special. There was that kind of. I like Michelle Pfeiffer's character,
I liked
Janet,
her,
a little bit, and kind of what they were trying to do with her, but I just didn't. It wasn't enough to really push this over the edge for me. So a 3 for me. Finally, that brings us to entertainment and enjoyability.
Go ahead.
This.
You can go first.
I gave it a 4. Back to what I said about story and theme. I probably am somewhat, not ruined, but saved by preconceived notions of that I wasn't going to like it and enjoyed it a lot more. So I walked out of there going, you know what? I am satisfied with what I saw here. I got what I want for the future of the MCU. It was a fun little story for me, and I was good with it. Okay. Will I rush back to see it? No, but I enjoyed the heck out of it for me.
I think for me, it was the exact opposite. I expected to really like this movie because I enjoyed the other Ant-Man movies, and I was so disappointed. And of course, again, I gave it a 2, and the only reason it didn't get a 1 is because it's not on the same level as that one movie that we always reference that I hate so much. So, yeah.
And the other one we won't mention here.
Yeah. So, I will not. No, watch this again.
Final grades for us based on this point scale. For me, I have a 19 out of 25.
Which is pretty high.
It is honestly pretty high. And, when I saw the final grade, I was kind of like, I don't know if it's that high, but that's just how I felt when I was grading it out.
Yeah.
Your final grade?
And I gave it an 11.
Not the lowest.
That sounds right, though. When you think about it, so if it's on a 100-point scale, I gave it a 44 points out of 100. And that's math I'm not going to be good at. 76 points out of 100.
Yeah. So there you go. There's our grades for Ant-Man and the Wasp. Quantumania, not very good for Jessica, but surprisingly good for me. That's our opinions. We'd love to hear yours. Obviously, if you can, keep it spoiler-free in the comments for those who haven't seen it yet. Want to save it for them. Whether they like it or not, that's up to them at this point. What else should they do?
If you haven't already, please consider liking and subscribing to our channel and turning on that notification bell so you don't miss any of our content.
That's all we have for you in this edition of Eye to Eye. Until we assemble again,
may the force be with you.
And we'll see you real soon.
Bye, guys.